And you're live.
Are you introducing?
Yes. Welcome to Specialty Produce Network. We have an amazing podcast for you this evening. It's a little bit of a different one than normal. We've got two amazing podcasters here in the studio with us today. Ashley Lee from Center for Conscious Kids, as well as amazing producer and also podcast to the stars, Vegan Danielle. It's a little bit different today. As you can see, there is a live going on, I believe, right now for Center for Conscious Kids. But after that, we're going to split these up into a couple of neat podcasts. So without further ado, I give you Ashley Lee and Danielle Petz.
Woo! I think you're going to have to refresh the page for the live, though.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you, Travis.
Thank
that
you.
was our producer talking. So, Ashley, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Lee, and I'm the producer of Conscious Living for Center for Conscious Kids. And today we're here together. We're going to talk about how food creates mood.
Yes, and I am Vegan Danielle. For those of you watching live right now, we are on Ashley's page. So if you don't know me, hi. We'll also be publishing this on my own podcast. So we're going to kind of co-host this whole thing.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for having me, Ashley.
Oh, yay. I'm so excited.
Me too. So
Yeah.
what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about the energetics of food and what that means.
I'm really excited to talk about this.
I know. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
All right, so Vegan Danielle has been just a star in our environment here at Specialty Produce about helping us all come into the consciousness
Thanks.
of vegetarian veganism and alternative lifestyles of food choices and what we can do with our bodies that we may not have known was available. I mean, we're just, kind of coming into that conscious awareness about what that means and how do we become conscious with our food and all of those aspects. You share.
Well, for me, let me just give you guys a little bit of background for those of you that don't know too much about me. I first went vegan in December 2 years ago, so 2015.
Wow.
And the reason I did it was originally just for the animals. I always called myself an animal lover, and then realized that I was being a bit hypocritical by saying that if I was eating them. And so it at that point, like, I didn't even care if it was bad for my health. I just decided that I was never going to do it again, and I'd figure out a way to eat. And from that point forward, I was really emotional about it in the beginning. And after some time, I kind of realized that, try to be a little more realistic. And I wanted to know about the health side of it, because you always hear that, you need meat for protein and you got to have milk and all those advertisements you see on TV. It was like, pretty convincing that I needed to be eating animals to stay healthy. And so
I sure live that way.
I think a lot of people do. I think most of us at least grow up that way.
Yeah.
And so I was really confused. I was angry. I didn't really know how to react. And I think, I watched a few documentaries. Forks Over Knives is a really good one if any of you are interested.
I just saw it. It's
Very
fascinating,
eye-opening.
amazing. And it's gentle.
It is.
And but it supports you in gaining understanding about really some of the things that are happening that we didn't know were happening.
Yeah.
About our world, our economy, and how we distribute and work with animals to produce food for this country is pretty remarkable to see.
Yeah.
Some of the things that are going on, and they're not all truthful, and it needs our food industry needs to be more authentic.
I agree. And it's, there's another few documentaries that are out there that are quite harsher. Earthlings is one. I can't watch it. But I highly recommend Vegucated as well. They're all backed by facts. Everything is sourced at the end of the video, which is really cool. It's just, I don't know. I was, like I said, really confused. And then after that, after I realized, I started finding some athletes and some personal trainers and people that were really into fitness, grown men, playing football as vegans and lifting heavy weights. And I thought, wow, this whole thought about not enough protein isn't quite adding up.
Right.
These guys were much bigger and stronger than me. So that's when it really clicked for me that this was the correct decision, So that's kind of how the whole thing started. And from that point, I've been just doing the best I can to minimize harm, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah. as far as the economy,
The animals.
who takes care of them, how they get distributed. I mean, the whole process.
Yeah, because there's a lot. That's another thing. A lot of people don't realize that it's not just the animals. Like, if we look at what it does to our environmental system, it's our ecological system. It's like the amount of greenhouse. If you're worried about greenhouse gases, the amount of greenhouse gases that are released from animal agriculture are more than half, and so that's more than all the other sources combined. Factories, cars, planes, everything combined is still less than animal agriculture. It's really crazy.
That is just remarkable.
And all these things are located online, by the way. If you guys want to look stuff up, there's a lot of cool resources. One Green Planet and PETA are some of my favorites. Nutritionfacts.org is really good as well. And anyways, that part is terrible. But then even if you just really care about human life,
Right.
look at these factory workers. Like, I don't think anybody is born into wanting to kill, wanting to harm, wanting to, unless maybe there's a severe brain disorder. I don't think
Right.
it's something people are naturally born with. People are naturally born to love and to help. And I can't imagine what those workers must go through, having to deal with death and torture. Like, they're not just shooting pigs between their eyes. This is torture.
Right.
And to be able to sleep at night, but maybe it's the only job they could get,
Yeah.
and I just feel like it affects so
Well,
many more people.
Absolutely, because I don't think people went into farming or agriculture or ranching or any of those things to raise livestock in the
Right.
ways that they're being raised nowadays.
Yeah, okay. And then I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one thing too. I'm not talking about these little tiny farms in the middle of Oklahoma or
Right.
whatever, where somebody has 5 cows and they're on an open pasture and they kill them and sell the cows to the town. I still won't eat that, me personally, but that's not where I have so much of a problem. The high capacity animal agriculture, where they're literally every animal is just a number,
Yes.
that's insane.
Or where like in Forks Over Knives, it had the pigs that are in a certain cell, like almost. And
Those crates, yeah.
And the crates are corrals, and they literally have no room to move. They're
No.
standing there, and they're eating, and they're just being grown to produce meat.
They're stepping in their own feces.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
In their whole entire lives is they sit in this corral.
Yeah, they literally cannot walk. Like, there is no room to walk. They lock them in a cage that's the same size as them. When they have babies, often the piglets are stepped on. They're kicked because they're not needed. They might have something wrong with them. The guys don't treat them like animals, like a life. They treat them like a piece of property.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I've seen so many terrible videos of just people getting so angry
Right.
at the animals for whatever reason and taking it out on them. And I mean, I'm not going to go into detail because it's horrific,
Yeah.
but it's amazing to me that this kind of stuff is still legal.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and then not only that, is like you said, is the impact that it has on those, if you could call it workers, factory workers, farmers, ranchers,
Yeah.
all of them. What kind of, integrity or values, or how does that affect them,
right.
their families, and other people in their community? I mean, it really goes deep, and
Yeah.
it goes deep into concepts of we're just really not being who we are and
Right.
who we were meant to be. And
I saw a video that was going around YouTube that was later, parts of it were reposted to Instagram, and it was a guy in Ireland, I believe, and he spoke about working on a factory farm. And to my understanding, the farm that he worked on was not nearly as harsh as some of the ones in America. And he was talking about the nightmares he would have when a calf was born, because you got to think, if we're taking milk from a cow to make cheese or milk or whatever it is, that milk was meant for the baby calf. And so we have to remove the calf from the mother in order to take that milk. And there were literally videos of, they have these special devices that, like, they'll put a thing over the calf's mouth while it's a baby so it can't suck. And they have these like giant claws that they'll use to pick up the calf and put it on a trailer and take them away from the mom, and they scream. I mean, they're horrified, and the mom is trying to chase after them, and I mean, it's terrible. And they showed this little clip, and then this dairy worker, and he was just like, I I mean, the most horrific things he's ever seen happened on a dairy farm. And he's vegan now, because of all that. But he was working because it was his income, he didn't enjoy it. But it's really, he was really affected by it.
Yeah. And then even in those effects of, yes. So even in the effects of the creating a gallon of milk, what was it? 10,000 gallons of water?
So yeah, I think so. Like I think that's correct.
To create a gallon of milk.
Yeah, so, because and if you don't understand what that means, so the amount of grain and water that goes into feeding one cow for that amount of time for it to be able to produce milk is insane. So this was the thing too, that I've heard people come to me and tell me, well, I don't know, plants have feelings too, or we got to cut down on the amount of plants we're eating for whatever reason, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, okay, if we be realistic here, there are a full-grown cow eats X amount of plants, I don't know, whatever. And that amount of plants is always going to be far greater than anything that I could ever eat as a vegan. So even that argument is flawed. And actually, our producer just pulled up a fact up here on Google from gracelinks.org. It says it takes about 147 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of corn. And a beef steer or heifer can eat 1,000 pounds or more of feed over a few months. All that grain and water really adds up. Yes, it does.
So the math on that is astronomical.
Yeah.
Astronomical.
Yeah.
Wow. So we really impact by making these decisions about what to eat and what not to eat. And we wanted to bring forward to all of you all that choosing fruits and vegetables and choosing a lifestyle in that way really does affect your mood, your energy, your body, and the physiology. And we wanted to really go into it. You did such a wonderful podcast with one of the physicians.
Oh, thank you.
And he spoke very, very clearly about a lot of the medical reasons of what is good for our body and what isn't good for our body in relation to these ideas. And I wanted to even dovetail off of that and bring in some of the idea of the energy and consciousness behind these choices, because for us, you chose it a while ago. We're choosing it now.
That's
and
okay.
Really with a large influence from you. Which
Thank you.
I know, it's just awesome. It's so wonderful how we do influence each other so positively in our lives and help each other grow. And I just wanted to say, in our house, we have gone meat-free for 3 days now.
Claps.
And then we're relieving the dairy from the refrigerator, and it is a tough call, because I have to say, coming through this level of awareness and consciousness, is there's a part of us that bought it, so we don't want to waste it.
Right.
And that's what keeps us stuck in this negative feedback loop. Like, I had an idea. I talked to someone yesterday, and I had an idea. What if I created on my website on Ashley Lee Healing a day where all the kids got together and meditated at the same time throughout the whole world, or at least the U.S., right? Everywhere. And get together at the same time and meditated and said that they will not have chicken, any kind of chicken, for a whole month. Now, think about that. If the kids are not eating chicken for a whole month, what would that do for our chicken farmers? It would completely change the face of how we're working with it.
I'm happy that you said chicken, because chicken is actually the most consumed meat in America. I got that from the Humane League. I had a friend of mine, Bo, on the podcast a while back from the Humane League. He's the representative for San Diego's chapter. And chicken is the most misinformed meat, because people call it white meat. They call it the healthier meat. They call it lean meat. Bodybuilders feel that it's okay if you eat that and not red meat. It's not the case. And I mean, I don't want to turn this into another factual thing, but I just highly encourage you guys to look up chicken and the health side effects of it, or lack of health, because it's actually a lot worse than I think a lot of people realize, me included. Wow. I thought that chicken was better.
Here we have another fact.
Yeah. So according to the USDA, Americans will eat nearly 92 pounds of chicken per person this year. 92, you guys. Wow. That's a small human adult.
Yes,
that's a lot of chicken. And the thing is, the chickens actually have the worst conditions out of any of the animals.
I saw.
I'll bear the facts again, but that's another one I highly encourage you guys to look into, because it is horrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
so if we make choices, and I was thinking the after effect of that, let's say all the children in America, all the children in the world decided not to, I'm not sure the whole world raises chickens poorly. I think we'll accept responsibility here in the U.S.
Yeah.
But that if we stopped eating chicken for a month, it would halt the production in the ways that it's happening.
Yeah.
And
if there's no demand, there's no supply.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the idea is we'd have to sacrifice, though, all these chickens, right, that have already been raised.
Yeah.
And they're already in this processed, and they're in the store and those sort of things. But at some point, where do we draw that consciousness line? Do we stop and waste and then change? How do we do this as a whole society, a whole community, to actually create change? And it's
I thought about that actually, because I saw some stat, not necessarily just on chicken, but about going more vegan. Because I saw some stat on Instagram that somebody had posted, said something about like, oh, veganism has risen whatever percent. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, how exciting. And then I was like, wait, but as awesome as that is, that means that, I mean, all that production continued, like you were saying, all the, the ranching and, everything that went into that, creating meat for a store to buy still continued. So that means that was probably all wasted, which is terrible. However, I do believe it was for the greater good. Like if that, okay, we
created a global change or a large change.
Yeah.
How we reconstructed, and then we reintroduced chicken in a way that the children or other people would like. And we can go down the whole list of that. But what I wanted to say was that we can literally get into that consciousness about what it is that's creating, because the kids are saying they don't want it anymore.
I know. It's crazy. There's a lot of videos out there.
Yeah. So the days of chicken nuggets is going away. I'm so excited.
It's, I go through these little ups and downs where, I feel like sometimes I spend too much time in my vegan bubble where everyone that's around me is either vegan or close to. And I get so excited because I hear people talking about change and this is better and blah, blah, blah. But then I take a minute and step outside of my comfortable zone. And it's like, okay, I'll give you an example. I was at the tanning salon a couple days ago, and I walk in there, and the girls are young that work there. They're probably in their early 20s, and one of the girls was eating chicken nuggets, and the other one's like chewing on, I don't even know, some fast food. And I was just like, man, like, I feel so comfortable. And then I see this, and it's like, well, I mean, I would never say anything, I'm not crazy like that, but I want to. Sometimes I want to be like, what's in that nugget? But yeah, I think, things are getting better. It's just going to take time.
It's going to take time and awareness. And so we wanted to talk really about the empowerment awareness of it and what it meant to eat these foods. So in front of us, we have this smorgasbord.
Provided by Specialty Produce.
Provided by Specialty Produce. And it is gorgeous food. And these are fruits and vegetables. There's all different kinds. Some of them you may know, and some of them you may not know. Like our fuchsia one up there with the little white and the seeds, right?
Dragon fruit.
Gotta love it. Like Mexico, Hawaii, lots of tropical places.
Yeah.
Another tropical one we have here is a strawberry passion fruit. Is that right?
Those are just passion fruit. But yeah.
Fruits. Yeah. So darker skinned. They're beautiful, but we all know what they taste like inside. It's amazing.
So good.
Yeah. And persimmons. And so fruit and vegetables from all over the world, which is just amazing. And then lots grown here locally, which we're doing, right? We're even gaining more consciousness in local food growth and how do we distribute that, and how do we do that with less carbon footprinting, moving the food all around the country.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to really talk about was the color, the vibrancy, the energy behind these foods, because I think this is what's so valuable for kids and parents, because I'm still surrounded by, and I work with a lot of highly sensitive kids, and some of those highly sensitive kids are medically fragile kids or kids that have difficulty with processing. And they're not going to eat funny textures.
Okay.
Right? They're not going to eat, I don't know, that color's too bright or that doesn't work. And they want...
It's different.
Right. It's different. So they want mushy, soft, bland food. And so I can tell you, though, with a lot of all of this, you can make mushy, bland food if
you could.
Although I don't like it. I like adding sauces and spices and all herbs and all kinds of good stuff. but you can. So to think that feeding a child an orange is too exotic is kind of wild, or feeding them mashed peas is kind of wild. It's a whole food. It's green. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
Right. And it adds a lot of vitality. So when we were thinking of creating this podcast, I really moved into that idea of, okay, on the food that I'm eating, what is the consciousness that it's feeding me? So for this morning, I had a little ounce of steel cut oats. I put some chia seeds in it.
An ounce?
Yeah. Well, I added more stuff.
We'll talk about this later. Go ahead.
I added some pine nuts, and then I added some coconut oil. And then I added 3 berries, which was raspberries, blueberries, and
3 types of berries,
Yeah.
not 3 berries.
No, not 3 berries.
Okay. Like, you gotta
Okay,
eat,
2
Ashley.
strawberries, 6 raspberries, and about 8 blueberries. But anyway, so as I was eating this, and it was a lot of textures and it was a lot of colors, but as I was eating it, I said, okay, so individually, what do those represent? So to me, the raspberries and the strawberries, the red fruit, really represented, I felt loved in that moment. Now, I don't know if everyone feels red with love, but I felt loved. I felt supported. I felt connected, and it was really amazing. And then I had the blueberry, and the blueberry got nice and glistening from the coconut oil, right? And I looked at that, and I said, what does the blueberry do? And it was like, wow, I just feel free to be me. You know, the blue just kind of really brought that out.
You're so in touch with yourself. I just eat
I don't
them.
know about that.
No, I think it's really amazing. It's a totally different take than I'm used to.
Yeah, so that's what we could do with the kids is you could lay out, like we've laid out in front here, different colors and obviously cut open and easier to eat because they're littler kids and things. But, I mean, look at the raspberries. They're ready to eat. Those blackberries are ready to go. I don't know that many people suck on a lemon, but lemons work really well in water and different. We can flavor things really super great, you know. And so lots of different things. But putting that out and then having the kids experiment. What does that help? What do you feel like? What essence? Right? It gets them in touch with their emotions. It gets them in touch with their thoughts. It gets them to connect, just like you said, to the food.
Yeah.
And then and then you can go deeper with it. You can go, okay, where was this tangerine, for example, or tangelo? Where was it made? You know, I don't know, Guatemala, Puerto Rico, somewhere, right? And then wherever it came from, what does that country feel the energy in that, right? Let's have you do that.
Oh, here, this one's Florida.
Okay, so Florida. So hold the tangerine.
Apparently these are really good, by the way. I haven't tried them yet.
Yeah, see? And now, but what feeling do you get? Kind of tune into Florida.
It's
We're
funny.
in San Diego.
I know. I feel like Florida, other than the humidity, is kind of comparable to San Diego weather. I know you asked me this last week when we were talking, and I held something that was also orange. I can't remember. Maybe a persimmon. I don't remember what it was, but I know it was orange. And I told you sunshine because that was the first thing that came to mind.
Right.
And that's the first thing that comes to mind with this one as well.
It's sunshine, right? And then when you breathe in or you connect to sunshine, how does that feel in your body?
Warm and happy.
Warm and happy, see? Right?
I'm so out of touch with myself. I
No,
like you, actually.
no.
I feel like this is a counseling thing for me.
No, it's not.
No, I like it.
It's nice, but then the kids can connect to that instead of going, that's too orange for me. I can't have that color. I have to have wheat pasta, right? And so I made a color chart. And so, like, what is orange? Orange connects us with the consciousness of feeling our emotions.
That's why I'm uncomfortable with it.
There you go. See? And then I talk with the kids about, like, what's the stuck energy? So stuck emotions could be upset, restlessness, embarrassed. Those are several different, right? It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then what does it connect us to? It connects us to our emotional self. And what is the healing energy, right? So I don't know. I have here as an example is social confidence, joy, safe feeling feelings. I know. So what if we fed our kids oranges once a day, and then it's okay for them to feel their feelings, and they don't have to hide or pretend they're not there, or I don't know, all different kinds of aspects, like yellow. Like, look at those gorgeous yellow raspberries, right?
Yeah, aren't those different for those of you who have never seen those before? Yeah, they're technically called white raspberries, but they are yellow.
Yeah.
They are available here as well, but they're different.
And so what does that mean? That yellow gives us the implication, right, of I can, right?
Huh.
Yeah. So I can do this. This can happen. So maybe that's why bananas are so nice in the morning. It gives you that, right?
Banana.
It gives you that. It gives you that energy and say, I can do this, right? It gives you some carbohydrates and some potassium and all of those other good things. But
I'm watching the replay on the Facebook. It's kind of funny.
It is. So then, and green things, like so many kids, you talked about it on your other podcast about how much protein is in spinach.
Broccoli and a lot of leafy greens.
I love it. And then I love it by looking at, and I wanted to go deeper into the energy concept here about Tesla. So I study, because I like working with energy, I study Tesla and lots of physicists, particle physicists and quantum physicists. And with that, though, I saw one wonderful documentary video about how Tesla in the 1890s was vegan. And I'm pretty sure that concept of veganism is not, normal in the 1890s, right?
I don't think many people know about it today, but yeah, 1890s?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So he was well ahead of his time, as we all know. But we have some construction going on.
Yeah, sorry about the noise, guys. They we're doing some upgrades on the outside, so if you can hear that, that's a hammer. Anyway, go ahead.
And so Tesla said, so all energy, or all atomic energy, are photons of light. Photons of light move atom particles. So they're the energy inside the particle moving. So that moves electrons, neutrons, protons, all those things. And so then what happens with that is that's what we're ingesting, really. That's what we're eating is photons of light.
Right.
And so he made the comment, which I thought was really way ahead of his time. He said, why would we eat a secondhand produced by the earth, minerals and vitamins and warm earth and warm sun and the photons of light that are creating these plants? Why would we consume something that is already, and most of the animals we eat for meat products or food is herbivores?
I know. I'm so happy you brought that up. It's my favorite topic.
And so those herbivore meat animals like cows, pigs, and chickens, and they eat plants. They eat plants. Yeah. They don't eat other meats.
So this is, I love that you brought this up because it's something that I hear a lot. It's a really easy way to help people try to understand that plants have plenty enough protein because, like you said, the animals we eat for protein are all herbivores. So if they have enough protein for us to eat, why, obviously they're getting their protein from plants. Right. So why wouldn't we go directly to the source?
They're growing big and muscular.
Right.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing. Like some of our strongest land animals are vegan.
They're not protein deficient.
Right. Like, okay, look at elephants, look at rhinos, look at gorillas. I mean, everything in the, the monkey, I forgot the genus. Everything in that category.
Yes.
They're all vegan. Like, yeah, they might eat bugs here and there if they're hungry, but like their main go-to is plants.
Right.
And I think a lot of people forget that. I'm like, pigs are herbivores normally. Cows are herbivores. I mean, these are some of our strongest, biggest animals.
Right. And so Tesla was saying, why would I eat a secondhand photon of light? Because that's the energy that I really need. Okay. And so why would I eat that? And here we have lots of protein from quinoa and lentils and tempeh and
seitan and beans. So here's the thing, okay, for example, beans are on here. 12 to 15 grams of protein per cup. That's a lot. If you guys look into the protein for meat or dairy
was even the max amount we should have is half our body weight in grams.
Right. Right. And that's the thing, too. So America is in this whole protein epidemic thing where it's like they made it so popular that, you can't build muscle without this much protein. The thing is, I mean, I had a podcast with, her name is Dr. Angie. She's a gastroenterologist in Newport. And so she deals with everything related to digestion from mouth to where it comes out. Yeah. And she talked to me about she sees all the people that are having these colon cancers and gastrointestinal diseases and all these kind of issues. And every time her first go-to is to put them on a plant-based diet to reduce the acidity, to, help, gain more fiber so that they can actually digest these things. And most of her patients turn around without any prescriptions or any surgeries are able to turn their whole life around by cutting out the processed meats and the cheeses.
Yes.
And it's insane.
Right. Right. And so that's what I was saying about like the green vegetables, like you said, broccoli and spinach, and all of them have a tremendous amount of plant protein. And I think what people are really misunderstanding is the body doesn't care. I think really whether it's a meat protein or whether it's animal protein in a way, because all of these foods break down.
Right.
And they break down into amino acids.
Right.
And we are utilizing those amino acids to have cellular function in our body. So a lot of this food, because it all comes from planet Earth, is all the same sort of amino acids. They just got mixed up a lot of different ways for us to enjoy many, many different foods. But in essence, and many of them, because of the coloring, by the way, have different minerals, and have different vitamins in them.
Right.
But for the most part, for the amino acids from proteins, it's very similar as far as when they break down adenine, guanine, all of the different ones. Taurine. And we get that from many, many different sources.
Yeah. Especially, like you said, eating a variety. Like, there's a saying that says, eat the rainbow, and I'm not talking about Skittles.
Yes.
If you eat a variety of colors of fruits and vegetables, you are almost guaranteed to get your full vitamin dosage. And actually, I'm going to do a little plug real quick there's an app called MyFitnessPal. You can track anything you eat. If it has a barcode, you can scan it in there. If it is a fruit or veggie, you can type it in there. Wow. And you basically track what you're eating. And with that, it also gives you a full breakdown of all your vitamins, nutrients, whatever. And I can tell you, I stopped using it now because I was at first using it to make sure I was getting enough nutrients. Every single time I would use that app since I've been vegan, my vitamin C levels have been off the charts, 500% more than what I need. Vitamin A, vitamin K, like all these things were way off the charts. And my protein was like right where it needed to be, maybe a little bit over. My fat intake was much lower because I'm not eating all this processed stuff. I was trying to eat more raw and not add additional oils. And it's a really good tool. If you're curious if you're getting enough vitamins, it has a really good standard setup for you. A lot of times, like for me, the one thing I didn't like is it was telling me to eat more fat, and I just ignored that. But it was it kind of depends on your goals, Right. Like for me, I was trying to cut a little bit more and get into more fitness shape, so I was keeping my fat intake a lot lower.
Right.
But for a beginner, it's really awesome. Like
wow.
You can really see the vitamins you're getting. And then if you're still curious and you don't think you're getting enough vitamins, go to the doctor and get a free blood test. I did that. And the thing is, like, when we're kids, our parents tell us, eat your veggies. Like, we all know that veggies are good for us and we need to be eating more of them. And then when you're an adult, like for me, my mom was just like, wait, I don't know if that's healthy. And I'm like, this is so controversial because when I was a child, you told me to make sure I ate all my veggies. And, it's so much different when you grow up. But there are no vitamins that you cannot get from plants that you do get from meat. Now, there are different concentrations, like iron is a big one, or B12 is a big one that people bring up sometimes. You can still get those in plants.
And you are finding out, and more physicians, because more people are turning vegan, even the ones that are seeing physicians, and they're getting their blood test done, their iron levels rise.
Yeah, because of leafy greens.
After they let go of meat products and move into plant-based lifestyle. It's just amazing to witness that. And so there's a lot more that goes into than just ingesting iron muscle from meat, that we are creating iron in our bloodstream.
There, our producer just put something on the screen for us. It's www.betterlabtestnow. So it's a website where you can order your own lab testing. So there's another resource too. If you don't want to go into your doctor, you can do it on there.
Wow. Fabulous. Thank you for sharing that. That's huge. And we can put that in the on the comment feeds too, if that's helpful, if those websites.
Oh yeah, there you go. So Travis will list that on there.
Yeah, and so like when you eat green spinach, for example, whether it's raw or cooked or prepared in different ways, because we can prepare it lots of ways.
Yeah.
What do you feel when you ingest spinach?
This is so hard for me. Like, I have had so many people ask me, how does that make you feel? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm really a bad example of this.
Do you feel Do you feel complete? Do you feel whole?
I definitely feel full.
Do you feel like, I have to tell you, after 3 days of being off of any form of meat whatsoever, I feel clearer and I feel less headachy.
Oh, good.
And I also feel less inflamed. I don't even know what that means.
I like that you brought that up.
But I really do. And it's noticeable.
That's really cool.
And I can tell you that I didn't change anything else in my life in the last 3 days.
That's really cool.
Like sleep or, you know, more nurturing or something else. I didn't change anything except that. And I feel that difference.
Wow. Yeah. That's great.
I know.
Yeah, I had a recent podcast. Her name was Charity Morgan. So she's married to one of the NFL players, the Tennessee Titans. She talked about that a lot because for her, it was about, she provides meal service for a lot of the football players that are now vegan, mostly vegan.
Yeah.
And she was saying that like immediately, I mean, these are high grade athletes, you know, professional athletes that are on the field all the time, whether it's practicing or playing games.
Right.
And she was saying that just within a couple of days, she noticed their performance, they noticed it. And I mean, it's so cool to me to see that level of, you know, like people are saying, oh my gosh, after 2 days, I feel like a whole different person. And it's
took
really
no
awesome.
Pills, took no other supplements, no extra things, just cleaned out our diet, cleaned out our nutrition, cleaned out our lifestyle. And I think I wanted to bring in something because our producer brought up such a unique situation of him changing his life from eating meat. Travis, will you share with us?
You guys can't see Travis, but he's right there.
He's around the corner.
You can see me every Tuesday on
on his own podcast.
I'm not plugging my podcast.
You just did.
I did not. I haven't said anything.
Tap.
No, Danielle, I think you all said it at the beginning. Danielle was a really big part for not only you, Ashley, but as well for me whenever it came to, becoming vegan. Pete and I. And she did it in a way, I don't know how she did it with you, but she did it in a way to where it was just like, check these things out. There's a couple cool documentaries you might want to check out. And we did, and one of them was What the Health. I don't know if you all even mentioned that
Not yet.
on this one. It's the most amazing one for me. It takes off a little bit about the murder, which is, important.
It's hard to watch.
It's very hard to watch, but the What the Health is more so of the health aspects. And so I myself have been majorly vegan, excuse me, since about August, I think is what we talked about.
I think,
and you and I were talking earlier, Ashley, about the pros and cons. And for me, not only there's the little bit of a fear based because of I haven't put meat in my system for so long that I'm afraid to because my body had stopped producing like the majority of the enzymes needed to kind of break down that food.
Mm-hmm.
But also I've really do feel that I have this karmatic energy really that has really flipped on its upside down for me.
That is just amazing. So we were talking about consciousness and what does it mean and how does it shift for you? And to shift your karma, can you share with us really just an idea? You've probably had a lot of aha moments.
Oh, huge.
But I mean, what could they be? Because and then not only that is just translating that to the kids too. I mean, when we don't normally have karmic conversations with their kids, but I mean, what does that mean?
So for me, we've all talked about this before. I really try to live by the principle that energy is everything and everything is energy, right?
Yeah.
So, no matter what you do, eat, drink, think, or do, right?
Right.
That is all part of an energy
right.
type thing. So you have to think about all of this.
We're going to put Travis. I'm using my phone so you guys can see him on Facebook.
Oh, here you are. Hold on.
There he is. Here.
So you have to think that. So you have to think that there's so much stress that gets put on these animals that are, being slaughtered for our own purpose, right?
Yeah.
And so they go through, this is trippy because I'm looking at it in different angles. You have to think about that that sticks with the animal. I don't care if they're alive, dead, or whatever it may be. That gets put into the meat, right? And then in turn gets wrapped up, put in these nice little bows and packages, and sent to the market to where we buy it.
Yes.
And then we consume that energy.
Right.
That horrible, sad, scary energy.
I can't tell you how many people come in and I work with them energy healing wise, and it comes up that they have food poisoning, but it's not from the meat.
It's not.
It's from the packaging.
Yeah.
It's from how the animal was cared for. It's from all the handlers that have touched the meat and their karmic things or their situations or their negative emotions. It's absolutely remarkable how we take in the energy of even how food is prepared.
Yeah, and if you think about it, you also, it's like, so since I stopped eating meat, I stopped putting all of this really like crazy low vibrating energy in my system. It's been clear. My head has been clear, right? Not only has my head been clear, but when we put that bad stuff in our systems, we create these blocks for ourselves, right?
Yes.
Whether it's monetarily blocks, whether it's health blocks, whatever blocks it is, you're putting it. It's like literally building a wall of brick and putting them in front of you to where the good things can't come in.
I agree.
Because
and there's second and third hand
it is
walls that have been put up. It's even hard for us to determine, why am I feeling
We're
this
not even
way?
doing it right. It's not even our energy that's creating these walls. It's
Right.
just really horrible things that are happening to these amazing animals. And so because of ever since it really is no surprise to me that that ever since I stopped eating meat, life has been amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's not just because I feel better healthily.
Right.
Healthily, is that a word? It is now. I just said it, everybody. But it's because like I've taken these blocks down.
Yes.
I'm not putting this unneeded, unwanted, horrible energy in my body anymore.
Yeah.
And that's another fear of mine, right? That's another, and I always say, do not live your life in fear. But that's one thing that I am completely okay with kind of living my life in fear with.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to put that energy back into my system. I'm afraid to know what it's going to do to me if I eat it again and what it's going to do physically to me.
Exactly.
And I'm afraid that all of this great stuff that I really didn't have to do much to get, which was just stop eating meat and dairy and, whatever, I can do that.
Right.
Everybody can do that.
Right.
Especially here anywhere, but like, especially with all the stuff that they make to synthesize this meat. If you have to have meat, there's ways around it. I promise you this.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Kentucky, and Pete and I like to refer to ourselves as the Kentucky Fried Vegans. So if you need some help finding some of the maybe not so great vegan food, then come see me.
Yeah.
Message me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing. So thank you for asking me.
Oh, thank you, Travis. Wow. That was
Go to the preview.
That was so beautiful.
Yeah, gotcha.
Travis is our producer in training. He's been doing an amazing job.
Crushed it.
He's doing an amazing job.
He is.
And that was such a beautiful, beautiful share of how we create how we become affected by our food by secondary, tertiary, quaternary, I don't know how many levels of projections of energy that has been going through. Like we were talking about with even I think very sensitive people too, and very in tune people also feel the energy of the company. So let's say the company's not doing really well, or they're having trouble surviving, or their ethics aren't so super great, or all these different things impact the food that we eat.
Yeah.
And I think I guess we could sit around and teach everybody to energy heal them. And I think that's what the power of prayer is right before we eat. But however, why do we need to do that?
Well, that's
Why can't we go back to the source and create a better living from the source?
That's just putting a Band-Aid on a bigger problem.
Yes,
like,
it is.
I appreciate that that's available. That's cool. However, it's like, I feel like it's taking a pill for the side effects from the first pill.
Exactly.
We're
Very
still
well
doing
said.
harm. You know what I mean? It's like we're not ingesting the same amount of bad karma or bad energy or whatever you want to call it, but those animals still suffered. The workers still suffered.
Absolutely.
The environmental impact. I mean, there's so many levels of problems behind that it's like we don't erase those. It just
Right.
maybe won't affect you quite as much as
Right.
ingesting something. So
Exactly. So
yeah.
I agree. So we can all support one another, come up with great ideas. When we clean our body and our brain of all of that inflammation, we'll come up with even better ideas about how to support this food and how we create it, how we bring it forward, and how it becomes just a beautiful part of our day rather than something that we, have to live with or have to do in ways that reduce our ability to be our full expression and to create in the world moving forward and to share and become in unity and really be those good role models for all the kids that are growing up through our world.
Yeah. I think that's really important because kids are always going to be the future, and the way the way humanity is going right now, there is no future a few generations down the road. We're destroying our planet.
Yeah.
So
we have to take action now.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel it's really important to get the kids involved now, help them learn about fruits and veggies and make them excited about eating them, and
right. And they can play with the colors and play with the consciousness.
Yeah.
And play with how they feel and what generates them, because I have a feeling different foods do different things for different people. So for me, like strawberries and raspberries energize me, but they may not for other people, whereas the blackberries or blueberries may for others. Oranges may do that, bananas.
Bananas.
All of those things, So play with it with the kids and ask them, if it's texture, change the texture. We have all kinds of things.
So many.
We can juice, we can moulinet, we can smash, we can muddle, we can do all kinds of things to change the way in which it comes a little bit so that it's more palatable for the littler kids to negotiate in their mouths and swallow it well. But outside of that, it's just beautiful of these ways in which we can share with the world. And I so appreciate I thank you, Travis, too, for joining us. And it was just lovely to share this idea and this concept with you all.
Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.